Hey, what is up you guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Ivy if you are new here. Today we are going to be doing something a little bit different that I want to start implementing a little bit more on my channel, where we are going to be talking about movies or costumes for movies or shows, anything like that. So today we are going to be, well not we, me, very unqualified 19-year-old who has no qualifications in costume design or any type of fashion in general, are going to be ranking all of the Cinderella dresses. So this is a stolen idea. I will put the original video in that girl's channel below and on the screen here if you guys want to go watch that. I purposely didn't watch that before filming this video because I tend to be influenced and just really wanted to make sure that all of these opinions were my own. I think that's all I have to say. I also don't mean any disrespect to like the costume designers, blah 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 blah. This is obviously just a very fun and lighthearted video from someone who is very obsessed with costumes and just wants to put her little opinion on it, I guess. I have my notes here, my trusty little laptop. So before we rank these dresses, I want to tell you the 3 categories that I'm looking at. We are going to be basing it off of if it fits the aesthetic of the movie, if it incorporates the original Cinderella dress, and originality.
The guest brides score her dress, venue, and food.
Before we can get into ranking these, I want to talk a little bit about the original Cinderella dress from Disney's animated 1950 version. That is not going to be on this list just because I feel like it's the base, you know, like it's the original, it's what everybody else based theirs off of, so I want to talk a little bit about that one first. The first thing I want to talk about is the color of this dress. It has turned into blue. If you look at newer animations of the film, in the original release of the film, the dress is a silvery, really bright and shiny color, and has eventually over time just turned into a blue dress, and that is what Cinderella is kind of known for. And there are 2 main reasons for this. One being that it is a kids film and kids tend to put really specific things attached with a person. Like, do you know what I mean? So like Cinderella got blue even though she was originally silver, Belle got yellow even though she was gold, Sleeping Beauty got pink even though she wore the blue dress a lot of the time, and it just turned into blue. Another reason for this is because during animation you can create colors that don't naturally exist in the universe, and her color of her dress is very hard to replicate in real life, especially with fabrics. The second thing I want to talk about her dress is the shape of it. So she wears a big beautiful ball gown with the corset top that has, I believe she has like a V, I don't know what that's called, I should know what that's called, a little V pointed at the bottom, and then the beautiful little capped sleeves right on the tip of her shoulders, her white gloves, I love her gloves, and her hair in a bun at the top with her little headband. Now this was extremely inspired by the late 1940s. Obviously it came out in the 50s, her hair especially was all inspired by the 1950s. The original Cinderella story doesn't really have a specific time it was based. The original story was estimated to be based in like the 1670s. A lot of people interpreted it as the 1780s, I believe, but in the Disney version they're obviously not historically accurate because there isn't a specific time based in the film. So I'm not going to be really super harsh on historical accuracy in this video just because I feel like it's fantasy. Most of these are made for kids. So again, aesthetic to the film, originality, and whether or not it brings in elements from the original dress. Okay, so we are going to be looking at today 8 adaptations of the Cinderella story with 2 honorable mentions that don't quite fit into these categories. So the first one we're going to be looking at is A Cinderella Story starring Hilary Duff. Okay, so this is coming in last place at number 8. I will say that the last 4 are ones I'm not a huge fan of, and then the top 4 are like chef's kiss. Despite the fact that everything in this movie hits, this dress just really does not. I don't like this dress whatsoever. The only thing that I think they got right was the ball gown. One thing that really irritates me about this dress is the fact that you can't tell she's Cinderella. Like in the movie when they win the costume contest, it says like Prince Charming and Cinderella. To me this is like Prince Charming and like it's Prince and Princess. They don't look like Prince Charming and Cinderella. They look like a prince and a princess. You cannot tell she is Cinderella at all. First complaint. This is also one of the dresses that I feel like I can't really blame the dress on the aesthetic of the film, because while this does fit with the aesthetic of the film, it's not the only thing that would fit. There are so many other options they could have gone here. Another thing we can blame it on is the fact that it is very, very 2000s, which again, I feel like isn't really a great excuse, because to me, I've seen this dress on like Say Yes to the Dress, 4 weddings, and a picture of a distant relative's wedding. Like, I've seen this dress so many times. To me, there is just nothing about it that I think is, 1, Cinderella at all, and 2, original to me. And again, they had another obstacle with it having to originally be a wedding dress, but there are like plenty of ways around that, in my opinion. With some of these dresses that I really don't like, I'm going to be trying to tell you how I would have redesigned them, but I wrote this outline a while ago, so I'm just gonna read right off of it because I don't quite remember what I said. So I said that I would have stuck with the tulle skirt. I like the skirt, I like the shape of the gown, I like the tulle, I like how big it is, how poofy it is. However, I would have gone with more of a silver tinted tulle, or layered them silver, white, silver, white, silver, white. This not only would have created a lot of depth and dimension with the dress, it would have made it look more like the original Cinderella dress while also looking like a wedding gown. Also, I think it would have looked better like this on the original person who was supposed to wear this gown. Like, can we all just say that this would have not been like her best choice for a dress either? The top you could keep with the floral lace, add a point to the bottom of the corset. Where it's hitting on her hips is just not flattering. I get it's very 2000s, but with a little bit of a V in the corset of the top would have just, to me, flattered her so much more, looked a lot more princessy. Again, you could keep the floral lace at the top if you wanted to, despite the fact that it just doesn't go with anything. Okay, I'm sorry. Deep breaths, deep breaths. This one, I just feel like I really could have snapped off if it would have been me designing it. And then I would have added a little bit of a tulle sleeve, like just a simple little sleeve right around the side of the shoulder, made of tulle. Would have looked more like the original dress. It would have also just given the dress, it would have made it more fun to look at. I also think one thing that they did dirty with this and would have made it look so much better is fixing her hair. This would have been the ideal movie. I feel like a lot of movies, they don't really take in Cinderella's original hair into account, but I think this would have been the ideal one to do that, because Hilary Duff's at the time had the bangs that you could have just like pinned up to make that little swoopy curl, and again would have made Sam look different from who she is in real life if she wouldn't have had the bangs. And then she could have had a little updo, and in some of these pictures, I think in the like the publicity pictures, I don't know if she does in the movie, she has a crown, and you could just put the little crown where Cinderella's original headband would have been. Like, tell me that wouldn't have been the cutest thing ever. Okay, so coming in at number 7, we have Ella Enchanted. And it pains me to say anything negative about this movie, because quite literally everything else about this movie hits so hard. It's genuinely one of my favorite movies. I mean, Chef's Kiss literally could not be better. Couldn't be better. However, the costumes of this movie, well, actually no, just Ella's costumes of this movie really aren't my favorite. I see kind of a pattern in a lot of these Cinderella adaptations when they put the girls' like big moment dress in a more of a white colored dress. They try to place them in blue throughout the rest of the movie, which I think that's a creative choice that I actually really enjoy. I think it kind of like stimulates your mind without you really knowing it. And then the white dress doesn't cut you off as guard as much, even though that's more accurate to what the original skirt, what the original dress was. This dress, I think, I like where they started with it. I feel like there are a lot of different or better ways you could do with it. I think they have a good start. I do think this dress fits very well with the aesthetic of the film, but I think the costume designer really missed what she could have done with this. Everything in this film is very quirky and exaggerated, so to me you could have gone much tackier than what she did and much more over the top, and it would have still made sense, especially since this dress was picked by the fairy godmother and not by Ella. I feel like it could have been really exaggerated and really big and really like a pow moment, like boom, pow, pop it like moment. I just don't think, one, I don't think it's the most flattering for Anne Hathaway. She is literally beautiful. I mean, you could put her in anything and she would still look good, but I just don't think accentuates the part, like it doesn't make her look how she, like how beautiful she is. Like in Princess Diaries, when she wears that beautiful red ball gown, like that is what Anne Hathaway should look like when you dress her up. This is not, to me. I just think that she, like, she should have looked like the epitome of beauty. To me, she just doesn't look like a wow moment. And with a movie that is so quirky, everything about it is a little bit of a sarcastic feel. I feel like you could have really gone over the top with this dress. And props to anyone who doesn't do the traditional blue. I will say that for the last 2 movies. Again, I'm going to be redesigning this dress. I think this redesign might be my favorite. No, it's not. I just thought of one that's my favorite. So I love the fabric that they used for the bottom of this dress. It's this very shiny, kind of tacky material, and I think that that really works with the movie. However, I would have personally made the ball gown bigger, and I think for Lucinda, the fairy godmother, that would have made a lot of sense. I do like the corset. I do like how it points down at the top, but I think the neckline is what really sends me off here. I don't think it does anything for her. I also don't think the lace and the color of the bodice really fit in with the whimsical, very, very shiny skirt. There is a detail on the bottom of the skirt, which is gonna be hard to like insert pictures of because there's not a whole lot of pictures of her wearing this dress, but it's like this whimsical, like almost like Rapunzel's dress in Tangled, like the little drawing she does on it. That's what it kind of reminds me of. I would have personally done that, like working its way up to the top. I think this would have also created a lot of symbolism for Ella to feel like this is kind of like trapping her and suffocating her, and this is the point of the movie that's like her breaking point where she can no longer take the life that she has been living so long, and she just needs to like break away like Kelly Clarkson. And I think that would have been a really, really like symbolism that you could have put in here that maybe nobody would have noticed, but again, would have just been very, very pleasing to the eye. I think a sweetheart neckline would have really, really flattered her, or maybe a strapless dress. She looks great in strapless. I think that would have been a great juxtaposition from everything else that she wears in the film that's very high neck all the way down the sleeves. Maybe a little cap sleeve moment. I don't know. I think that this dress has a great start, but it just needs something else. Maybe like an open back, just a little bit something extra. Okay, so coming in at number 6 is the 1997 version of Cinderella, with everything going on in this movie, the fact that it was blind casting, the fact that it was a musical. The costumes were not a thing that people looked out for. I feel like in a lot of these Cinderella remakes, people look for the Cinderella dress, they look for the big wow moment, but I think that, you know, the blind casting and the musical and the fact that this movie was a musical, that's what people cared about. They didn't care about the costumes or the hair or things like that. Overall, I definitely don't hate this dress. I think it's very costumey, which I think the whole movie kind of does. Maybe that's what they were going for. I'm not gonna lie, I've never seen this movie. I definitely need to watch it. Let me know if there's anywhere you can watch it because I know it was made for TV. Yeah, again, I feel like this dress just isn't, it's not bad, it's not great. I think the contrasting blues with the skirt and the top are really nice. I think the cap sleeves are really nice. She has gloves. I love a good glove. I feel like when you can make a glove in real life not look tacky, like those long like white or silver gloves, like you're doing something right, because I feel like they always look tacky. But again, very, very costumey. I'm not really sure what like the bottom part of the top is. I think I would like it better with that cut off, but again, just like nitpicky stuff. I feel like it's not the best, it's not great. I do want to mention that the person who designed the costumes for this movie, her name is Ellen Murojnick. I know I'm butchering it. She actually designed the costumes for The Greatest Showman, Maleficent, and Bridgerton, which when I looked this up, I think made me like the dress less because I wasn't a huge fan of The Greatest Showman costumes. A lot of them I did like. I liked P.T. Barnum's costume. I liked the wife's costume. I'm trying to think of her name, but I think when you have a cast full of models, you can really, I feel like the costumes like should be so fun because you can put them in anything and they'll look amazing. And not that they don't, but the older I get, when I first watched that movie, I loved everything about it, so costumes just kind of went over my head. But I don't really like how everything they put Zendaya in is very skimpy. At the time, that just wouldn't have been it. And I also feel like being more educated, and just the fact that Zendaya is already very, I don't want to say she's sexualized, I feel like people don't necessarily sexualize her, but people do look at her as like she's literally the prettiest person on earth. So I feel like just putting her in things like that show half her booty are just like a, I don't know the choice. I also think that green dress they put her in when she's supposed to go to like the ballet or the opera or whatever they're supposed to go to is just an odd choice. Maybe I should look up like the reasoning for that costume, but I'm not a huge fan of it. Also, the Bridgerton costumes were just weird. I mean, like, what decade was that in? Because there were just decades thrown out everywhere. From what I've seen of the Maleficent costumes, I think that I like them, but I'm not gonna lie, I have not seen that movie maybe ever, and if I have, it was like when it first came out, like way back. We're moving on to number 5. It's Into the Woods. Now, okay, brief story time. So my senior year, which would have been last year, I did Into the Woods and was head of costumes. Just so happening that the person who played Cinderella was one of the people who liked to go out and buy their costumes and would be willing to put a lot of money into them. So I did not do her costumes, she did her costumes. But my envision for this dress was a light blue ball gown, very sparkly, very shiny, with either gold rhinestones, like, I'm trying to explain, like gold rhinestones. So earthquake. So the red dress in A Princess Diaries, they placed red rhinestones onto the gauze of the fabric, but didn't end up liking the way that it looked, so they placed it on the back of the fabric so it just like shined. And I think that would have like just like a gold shine to it, maybe some gold tulle layered in with the blue would have looked really nice. So it would have had like a gold shimmer but still been blue, would have looked really nice with a gold shoe. I don't know if I love the whole gold moment we have going on here. I think one of the reasons why I don't like it is because the show is so, I guess it's a movie. This movie is so dark. Everything about it is very dark and everything has like a gold blue tint to it. And I think this could have been one costume that wouldn't have been so depressing looking. I feel like Little Red is like the only costume that isn't a dark costume. I understand why not wanting to put her in blue, not only the fact that her shoe is gold, but the witch's costume is blue, Little Red Riding Hood's underlaying dress is blue, the tint of the movie is blue, like there is a lot of blue going on. But like the gold in her dress literally matches the stairs that she's on when she's singing Steps of the Palace. I like the overall shape of the dress. I think that's very beautiful, but I'm not a huge fan of the gold. Or maybe it's the gold and the shape of the dress together. Maybe it's the fact that the shape of the dress is the exact same shape as her maid outfit. I just feel like when you have a show like this where you kind of have creative liberty out to wazoo because it's not a specific time, you can just pretty much do whatever you want, just like throw stuff into it because it's a fantasy. I don't know, this one just doesn't hit super hard for me. Welcome to intermission. So for this intermission, we are going to be talking about Zendaya. I believe this was 2017 Met Gala. Please just let me know what your thoughts are on this dress in the comments because I don't know. I don't know if I think it's cool or if I hate it. I like how it lights up. I think that's cool. I think it's the sleeves that are really doing me in for, because they remind me, if you guys have ever watched Michaela Tours, when she makes a wedding dress out of adult diapers, it kind of just looks like one adult diaper right around her sleeve. But I like, it's very classic. We even have the black choker, which isn't a choice that many people choose to make. So please just let me know your thoughts because I don't think I can form any around it. Like, I don't think I can decide. Coming in at number 4, I believe, yeah, this is 4. We have Drew Barrymore in Ever After. I thought this was going to be low on my list. I really did. But the more I looked at it, the more I loved it. Again, they do put her in blue throughout the majority of the film and then don't put her in blue for her big number, but I think both dresses we need to be discussing here. Her blue dress that she wears throughout the film I think is beautiful. I think it's a very subtle type of blue. It's not in your face. It goes along with the character. It goes along with aesthetic. The big moment dress I genuinely think is perfect. I think the off the shoulder sleeves but the long sleeves is a great choice. The wings in the background, her hair, her makeup, just everything about it I think is very pleasing. I will say that there isn't a lot that the original Cinderella dress has, but I also feel like this is a very loose story based on Cinderella, so they kind of have, like, I feel like throwing her in a big ball gown wouldn't have looked normal either. Yeah, I just really like this one. I feel like it's so wholesome. It fits the aesthetic of the movie so well, and to me you can just tell the amount of thought and detail that went into this dress. Not that the other dresses didn't have a lot of thought and detail, but I feel like this one you can just tell. Like, it just looks like passion was put into it. Coming in at number 3, this was at 2 and I just decided to switch it to number 3. We have Julie Andrews in the 1957 version of Cinderella. Oh wow, looking at this dress I'm like, this is the prettiest thing I've ever seen. See, the top 4, like, I can't say anything bad about because I love them all so much. To me, I think this is the perfect sized ball gown for Cinderella. I love the V in the bottom of the corset. I think the bodice is really unique. It also is so incredibly flattering. It fits, again, it came out in the 50s, right, like, what about this, 7 years after the original came out, so this fit the aesthetic of the time, as with you see in some of the other ones, like in the 2004 A Cinderella Story. That's just what people wore at the time. We cannot blame it on the costume designer. I also love how this is white but has gold accents. I think this would have also been an interesting thing to consider for an Into the Woods dress, maybe a white or a silver dress with gold accents. I just think that this one is really beautiful. I don't know, I just love it, and I feel like it's so unique, but like you can tell she's Cinderella at the same time. I have no bad things to say. I'm starting to notice that I talk way longer about the ones that I don't like than the ones that I do like, which might be an issue. That might be something I need to figure out in here. This next one gets me teary-eyed because I feel like it is slept on horribly. And this is Cinderella's dress from Once Upon a Time. I think there are 2 different Cinderellas in Once Upon a Time. I have not watched all of Once Upon a Time. I think I stopped at like season 3. I know that there's a time jump. I believe the second one she's in the time jump. I am talking about the original. I think this dress, quite literally, is one of the prettiest things I've ever seen. The size of the skirt we love. It's also a very interesting color. I think this color is super spot on. It's like a silvery blue. Again, we have that like cupping around the corset. I don't know why I like that, because I know that like corset type's coming back into style, and I like hate it in fashion, but I love it in actual dresses. I think her sleeves are incredible. The gloves, they have a great aesthetic of the show to work with because it is super fantasy and super over the top. There's just not a thing that I can say bad about this dress. They put her in typical Cinderella hair. I can't say a bad thing. Like, there's not a thing I would change about this dress. I think it's beautiful. I think it fits perfectly with the aesthetic of the show. I think it brings in a lot of the original things from Cinderella, and it's super original in my opinion. As a surprise to literally no one, coming in at number 1 is the iconic dress from the live action version of Cinderella. I don't know how anyone could not place this dress at first. I think it is incredible. It fits with the aesthetic of the film, but it also kind of doesn't when you look at her in the ballroom scene when her and the prince are the only ones dancing and she's like spinning around the broom. Everyone else is in very shiny, very sparkly, bedazzled, almost tacky looking things, but she is in this beautiful blue tulle ball gown. Again, we have that shininess of the skirt that kind of reminds me of the Ellen Enchanted gown that looks like it's in like the bottom layers of the skirt. Again, it creates that original illusion of the 1950 version that it's like this color that doesn't exist. I love the simplicity of the bodice. It is just plain. We've got that pointed corset. Somebody needs to tell me what that is called. And I think the butterfly details in the bodice are truly incredible. I think this one perfectly perfectly alludes that it was the fairy godmother picking the dress for Cinderella and not Cinderella picking it for herself. I feel like in a lot of these movies it looks like Cinderella picked the dress and not the fairy godmother. We have our second honorable mention that didn't fit into a category.
Here she is.
So this is actually an article from 17 of if Cinderella dresses were, or if Disney princess dresses were historically accurate. I want to see this dress in a Cinderella movie. Like, I need to see it. I think the stripe of the skirt is incredible. The little overlay is incredible. The sleeves, the top. I just love it. It's so incredibly pretty. I think it's gorgeous. I think there needs to be an adaptation of Cinderella that they can wear this dress. Okay, so this video is currently 40 minutes. Hopefully it's not actually 40 minutes. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I had a lot of fun doing research for it and filming it. I wasn't in the mood to film today, and then now I literally am like so happy and so excited and so glad that I filmed. Let me know if you guys want me to do more videos like this. I'm already planning 2. I definitely want to do a video on Belle's dress, and I definitely want to do a video exactly like this one, except doing the stepsisters costumes, because I personally think that theirs are more fun than the Cinderella dress. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, make sure you give it a big thumbs up. Comment down your opinions on the dresses, especially Zendaya's. I need to hear them. And subscribe if you want to see more videos like this from me. I will see you guys in my next video. I love you so much, and thank you so much for watching.